So how do you browse a website when you cannot actually see? That's the question. And then the next question is, what kind of assistive technology is useful to overcome this disability? You cannot say, I'll just have somebody else to do the shopping for me. Okay, because this is all about using technology to help these people to use websites. Okay, so I'm going to give you away the answer in this case. It's called a screen reader. Okay, so you need to look up on screen reader, and also electronic braille boards are also helpful in this case. So those two are the technologies that can help blind people to use, not only use computer, but to browse websites. Are we doing okay so far? Okay. But how does that work? Okay, I'll leave it up to you guys to find out how that works. Okay, so remember, one is called a screen reader, the other one is a braille board. Okay, electronic braille board, where the dots can update. Okay, and once you know the type of technology, you can actually look up the names of products pretty easily, because you just look up those two terms, and you will see a lot of products for those particular technologies. Are there any questions at this point? So you do have to go out onto the internet and do some research on your own, read about the products and stuff. Yep, go ahead.
So we just write a paragraph. Is that all? A paragraph?
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to address all of these points. I would suggest that you just use the outline format.
Okay.
So that way it's easy for me to see, okay, this is the answer to this part of the question, this is the answer to this part of the question, and so on. Go ahead.
Yes, and on your class site, it is on D2Learn, right?
It is in Moodle, not D2L.
Okay.
So the URL, okay, I'll just write it on the whiteboard here. Is Moodle, MOODLE .lostreals.
Okay.
.edu. And then you sign in using the same student ID and the same password. Okay, so now that we know, okay, approximately what we have to do, how do we turn in the homework assignment? First of all, there's one little trick here. When you type your answer, you might want to type it in an editor where you can save the content. Okay, and I'll show you why you want to do that. All right, so here you want to add your submission. Click Add Submission, and then it will give you an HTML editor, which works just like a small word processor. You can just type, you can have the bullet points, you can use different font size, you can use boldface, which is here, italic, underline, subscript, superscript, strike out. You can do most of the things that you can normally do with a word processor using the HTML editor. So most people would be tempted to type out their entire answer using this particular editor. You can do it, but there's one catch. The one catch is Moodle times out your session in 2 hours. In other words, if you start on this and then you got distracted by something else, and then 2 hours later you come back and you try to submit the answer, it will time out your session, and then you will have lost everything that you typed earlier. It happens to me a lot too. I lose entire pages and content because I come back and click the submit button, and then I lose the entire web page. So instead of doing that, you can also use just any editor. You can use Microsoft Word. I do not really encourage the use of Microsoft Word, because if you copy and paste from Microsoft Word, a lot of times it looks kind of messed up. Okay, you can use Notepad. Notepad is very simple. There's nothing that can go wrong using Notepad. I use OpenOffice or LibreOffice. That seems to work really well too. Another trick is, what if you forgot about what I just talked about? You typed up this stuff already, and you think that 2 hours have passed already. So what do? Okay, so let's say I just typed a whole bunch of gibberish here, and and at this point, I think my session has timed out already. So one trick you can do is to do a Control-A, select all, do a Control-C, copy, and then you try to submit. Now, if the submit failed, That's okay. You sign in again, get back into here, because the content is already in the clipboard of your computer. You just go back in here, Control V, paste it, and you get everything back. Okay? But the important part is to be aware of that problem. Okay? If you think that it might have timed you out already, just to be safe, copy and paste it into the clipboard, and then if the submit goes through, it's good. If not, sign in, come back to this page, and then paste it.
So the Save Changes button, does that submit it, or that doesn't save it?
It doesn't. It saves it. It saves what you just typed. Okay, so if you click, Save Changes, it saves it, and you can actually see your own, online text answer too. And then you can go back and continue to edit your submission. So that's the best way to do it, is to just basically just click Save Changes, a lot of times. So if you think that, oh, okay, I might have to kind of walk away for a little bit of time, just click Save Changes. I'm not going to grade it until it is due. So you can click Save Changes, as many times as you want. It doesn't, do any damage. Yep.
But that is the submit button. So when you save
Correct.
changes, that's
That it will upload your content, right? Yep.
How's that different from D2L?
Probably not a whole lot.
So D2L, I use Word all the time to post my stuff in there.
Okay.
So
It will work,
is it gonna mess with the styles or what?
Microsoft Word, when you use copy and paste from Microsoft Word, it includes a lot of gibberish stuff from the HTML perspective.
I know it's not plain text, it's formatted.
Yeah.
So you're saying that the formatted text is going to go in there?
It will go in there. Sometimes it may not go in as you
prefer to use
intend.
a text editor.
A plain text editor is more predictable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like even Dreamweaver, you just go into Dreamweaver.
You can use
You
Dreamweaver.
just pop it out, bring it in.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So okay.
Yeah, you can try. You can try out Microsoft Word. If it doesn't work out, you can just delete everything and then use another method.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So, are there any questions about how to turn in homework assignments, your essay type of questions? Okay. Now remember, I'm not. This is not an English class. I'm not expecting like a 5-page essay for every single assignment like this. I just want it to be to the point. Okay. It just has to be to the point. Okay. Doesn't even have to be complete sentences. Okay. You can just make it bullets. Points. This is the product. This is how it works. Okay. And so on. Yep.
I'm used to using the D2L. So on this, when you push save, it's going to stay there.
It's going to stay.
Like I can go back the next day and look at it.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
Yep. You can continue to edit. Go back and say edit my submission until the due date.
And then what happens? Does it go away?
At that point, the online text will still be there so that you know what you turn in, but you would not be able to edit anymore.
Okay.
Yep. Any other questions?
So save changes is to submit.
Yeah, to basically save,
Submission.
to save the document that you have, just updated.
Okay.
But I'm not going to grade it until the due date. In this case, I'm not going to grade it until next Wednesday or after next Wednesday. I cannot make this any closer to midnight. In the past, I always use midnight, but the problem of using midnight, at least with some of my other classes, is if I want to use midnight, I will have to pick midnight of Thursday, right? Because midnight or 0000 hour belongs to, it's the beginning of a day, not the end of a day, right? And many people have problems with that. Many people, many of my students in my other classes would look at the 24th midnight and say that, how come I cannot turn it in? I just try to turn it in on the 24th. How come I cannot turn it in? They don't understand, 0000 hour or midnight is the beginning, the very beginning of the day. So in order to turn in the homework assignment, in this case on time, they have to turn it in on Wednesday, not Thursday. And I always mention, well, but what if you book a flight and it takes off at midnight, on the Thursday, can you argue with the airline and say that I didn't know that, midnight is the beginning of a day? Probably not. So that's why, I just picked, 11:55, which is the latest time that Moodle let me pick, of a day. So this way, I can just avoid all that confusion. Of course, the first question I get in these cases is, what is 0-100 hour? Because they understand 12 a.m., but they don't understand what is 0-100 hour, because 0 hour is actually midnight. I like 24-hour format. Most people don't. All right. So let's see. So we have a few homework assignments because we have what if you are grammar. I cannot do it because I'm still a student. All right, so bad grammar. What if you have a disability? All right, so that's better. All right, so this is the other assignment. This is actually the first one. What if you have a disability so you cannot utilize a website like someone without disabilities? So that's a homework assignment. You have to type in, write an essay about this. So what do you do if you cannot use websites like people without disabilities? This happens to people with, who have disabilities from birth, accidents, illness, operations, and other reasons. And once again, in your own words, describe what you will feel being denied access to common web-based resources like online banking, shopping, communicating with friends, email, stuff like that, getting information, and etc. Why do you think you will feel that way? Okay, in a simple paragraph, just explain the reasons and how are you going to fix those problems. Do you think the government should get involved? Okay, even for web-based services related to commercial entities. Why and why not? So it's very open-ended. There's no right or wrong answer. I just want you guys to think about it and tell me what you think. Okay. So I just want to let you guys know ahead of time. I don't have a particular answer. I'm not asking you guys to be pro, web accessibility or against web accessibility. You might have reasons to go one way or another. I just want you to think about it. All right. So we have a few, homework assignments like that. This one is just general, and then we have specific ones for sight, hearing, and also dexterity control. This is different because you can see, this is a discussion. We have 2 speech bubbles. So when you click this, you will see something a little bit different. This is a graded forum where you have to discuss with your peers why you care about accessibility. I should change it, why you care or not about accessibility. Perhaps your job requires that you are aware of accessibility requirements and methods. Perhaps you are an activist who thinks this is an important topic. And this is what you want to do. You want to post, start a post yourself and let the class know why you are in this class. It's okay to share the same reason with other students, but write your own post using your own words and do not use phrases like what Tom said, ditto, and so on and so forth. Okay? So you still have to kind of type up your own rationale, even though it is the same or aligned with somebody else's. In addition to writing your own post, you also have to respond to the post of one other student, just one. Pick one to respond to, and your response should be professional, respectful, and